States. One state, one people. And G4S, get out of Palestine!
Free Palestine!
In our thousands, in our millions, we are all Palestinians. Yes, we're all Palestinians now. For a travesty for one is a travesty for all. Yes, we're all Palestinians now. From the Balfour Declaration to the Israeli occupation, yes, we're all Palestinians now. And false colonisation, the ethnic cleansing of a nation, yes, we're all Palestinians now. In our thousands, in our millions, we are all Palestinians, yes, we're all Palestinians now. For a travesty for one is a travesty for all, yes, we're all Palestinians now. Yes, we're all Palestinians, we are all Palestinians, we're all Palestinians now. For a travesty for one is a travesty for all, yes, we're all Palestinians now.
We are here today outside the AGM of the British security company G4S to demand G4S stop its complicity in the torture and caging of Palestinian political prisoners by Israel, including children as young as 12 years old. We are here to demand G4S immediately terminate its contracts to secure Israel's dungeons and torture dens, and to terminate all its other contracts with Israel. We are here today to tell G4S CEO Ashley Almanza and G4S Chairman John Connolly that vague promises of exiting Israel within 2 years is not good enough. Palestinians have suffered enough under G4S. Shame on you, G4S! It has been contracted by the Israeli prison service since 2007 to secure many of its prisons and interrogation centers where Palestinian political prisoners, including women and children, are caged and tortured. Figures for August 2015 show that 61% of all Palestinian political prisoners are caged in G4S secured prisons. This includes 100% of all the children Israel is caging and torturing. An average of 2 Palestinian children per day are arrested, interrogated, and detained by the Israeli army. That the children are systematically subject to degrading treatment and often to acts of torture, physical and verbal violence, humiliation, painful restraints, hooding of the head and face in a sack, threatened with death, physical violence and sexual assault against themselves or members of their family, restricted access to toilet, food and water. These crimes are perpetrated from the time of arrest, during transfer and interrogation, to obtain a confession, but also on an arbitrary basis, as testified by several Israeli soldiers, as well as during pre-trial detention. Shame on you, G4S! Shame on you, Ashley Almanza! Shame on you, John Connolly! Harness boys. I want to give one example of how innocent Palestinian children are targeted by the illegal Israeli occupation and G4S's role in sustaining that illegal occupation. years ago, on the 14th of March 2013, an illegal Israeli settler car speeding along a road on the West Bank, built on stolen Palestinian land, crashed into the back of an Israeli truck which had stopped to change a flat tire. This simple car accident, in which 4 people were hurt, was later, at the behest of angry settlers, presented as an attack by Palestinian stone-throwing youths. Over the next few days, over 50 masked Israeli soldiers with attack dogs stormed the local village of Hades in the early hours of the morning, and in waves of violent arrest kidnapped the children of the village. In the meantime, the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced to the settlers that he had caught the terrorists. When the children, who were mostly 16 years old, wouldn't confess, they were violently tortured and sexual threats were made against the female members of their families in order to force confessions from the boys. 5 of the Hares boys were charged with 25 counts of attempted murder each, even though there were only 4 people in the car. The 5 boys have been illegally transferred to Israel in contravention of Article 76 of the 4th Geneva Convention to Megiddo prison, where G4S provides the entire central command room. On the 26th of November 2015, Israel's military court sentenced the boys to 15 years imprisonment and a fine of 30,000 NIS, nearly $8,000 US. If the sentences are permitted to stand, 5 young lives will be ruined. Today, the boys are languishing in Megiddo prison in Israel. G4S provides the central control room at Megiddo, from which the entire prison is controlled. Shame on you, G4S!
Shame on you, G4S!
Shame on you, Ashley Almanza!
Shame on you, Ashley Almanza!
Shame on you, John Connolly!
Shame on you, John Connolly!
Free Palestine!
Khalid Sheikh. Unfortunately, the case of the Haris boys is not isolated. In 2014, Israel abducted 1,266 Palestinian children. That's 1 child taken from their parents every 7 hours. One of the children we have campaigned for is 15 years old. Palestinian schoolboy Khalid Sheikh. Khalid is from the village of Beit Anan in West Jerusalem. On Christmas Day 2014, Khalid was abducted by Israeli soldiers from near his home, near Israel's illegal apartheid wall. They savagely attacked him with their rifle butts, tearing his forehead open. They shackled his hands using tight plastic ties, cutting into his wrists, and threw him to the ground. Surrounding him, they kicked him in turns. He was not provided with any medical care, but instead taken to interrogation for 1 hour. Khalid nearly passed out. He was interrogated and caged in Israel's notorious G4S secured Ofer prison for nearly 4 months. G4S secures Alpha Prison by providing its perimeter defence systems and its central command room from where the entire prison is controlled. At Alpha Prison, Khaled was denied any family visits for the whole duration of his imprisonment. The occupation also denied Khaled essential medical treatment. Khaled suffers from several health issues, including anemia. At the military hearing, when Khaled's father pleaded with the judge to let Khaled have his medication, the judge dismissed him, saying that the 15-year-old schoolboy was a security threat to the State of Israel. On the 25th of February 2015, the military court convicted Khaled on the usual trumped-up charge of throwing stones and sentenced the 15-year-old schoolboy to 4 months imprisonment, a $500 USD fine and 5 years probation. Khaled's family, fearful for his health, urged activists around the world to intervene to secure the release of their son. Khaled's father had been threatened and detained for publicising his son's plight and for asking international help to free his son. 40% of the 600 children that were taken from Jerusalem alone were sexually abused by Israeli soldiers during arrest or interrogation. During interrogation, 75% of Palestinian children detained by Israel are physically tortured. Just recently, Palestinian schoolgirls, Rama Jabis, 14-year-olds, Malak Salman, 16-year-old, and Sajida Hassan, 16 years old, complained of torture at the hands of Israeli interrogators. They were forced onto the floor, shackled and then brutally beaten and repeatedly abused by interrogators. G4S provides the security systems which keep these torture dens operational. Prisoners who have survived these hellholes recall seeing G4S logos on the cameras that witnessed their abuse. Shame on you, G4S!
Shame on you, G4S!
Shame on you, Ashley Almanza!
Shame on you, Ashley Almanza!
And shame on you, John Connolly!
Shame on you, John Connolly!
Free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
Torture. Arafat Jaradat. Then there is the infamous Russian compound of Jerusalem prison, where Israeli guards torture Palestinian
in the
women.
middle of the road just in case traffic.
One woman, who was arrested during a protest, described how the soldiers struck blows to her face and tore her headscarf off, ripping her hair out. They threw her to the ground and kicked her in the womb. Under interrogation at the Russian compound, they ordered her to strip naked. When she resisted, they attached her body to an electric shock device and tortured her. She said, "I felt my body burning under their machine. The intense pain, so severe." A protester in Ammo was arrested was for a Palestinian prisoner who was tortured to death. Arafat Jaradat. Arafat Jaradat, a 30-year-old Palestinian father of 2 young children, aged 4 and 2 years old, married with a pregnant wife, died on Saturday, the 23rd of February 2013, after being savagely tortured for 5 days by Israel's secret police Shin Bet in Megiddo prison. He had been arrested on suspicion of just throwing a stone. 5 days later, he was dead. At his last military hearing on the 22nd of February, Arafat pleaded with the judge that he didn't want to go back to his cell because he was being brutally tortured. He had severe pain in his back and all over his body due to the beatings and being hung for many hours during interrogation. The judge was dismissive and the torture continued. Arafat died the next day. Shin Bet claimed he had died of a heart attack, but the autopsy carried out at the National Israeli Forensic Medicine Centre showed no sign of heart failure or any other illness. but revealed broken bones and found his whole body was covered in strong and excessive bruising under the skin, inside the muscle, and along the spine at the bottom of the neck, deep inside the tissue. The autopsy determined the cause of death as nervous shock as a result of extreme pain from the intensity of the injuries, which resulted from multiple direct and extensive acts of torture. Shockingly, it was revealed that an Israeli doctor was involved in Arafat's torture, who had guided the interrogators, giving them green light for further torture. Arafat was murdered over 2 years ago, yet no one has been charged with his murder. He was murdered in Megiddo prison, where G4S provides the entire central command room from where the entire prison is controlled. Shame on you, G4S!
Shame on you, G4S!
Shame on you, Ashley Almanza!
Shame on you, Ashley Almanza!
Shame on you, John Connolly!
Shame on you, John Connolly!
Detention is a vile form of internment where Palestinians are caged indefinitely without charge or trial on never-ending administrative detention orders month after month, year after year. Israel's use of administrative detention, largely as a punitive measure, is illegal under international law. 98% of all administrative detainees are also caged in G4S secured prisons. Shame on you, G4S! Shame on you, Ashley Almanza!
Shame on you, Ashley Almanza!
Shame on you, John Connolly!
Shame on you, John Connolly!
Prisoners, including children, are left on rolling detention orders, which can be anything from 1 to 6 months, renewable indefinitely. So, for example, administrative detainee Mazan Natsha has been locked up cumulatively for nearly 10 years without charge or trial. Detention orders are based on so-called secret information, which never needs to be produced, either to the detainee nor their lawyer. Administrative detention is often used to arbitrarily jail Palestinians where there is no evidence for a trial. It is also used for punishment, as in the case of Palestinian MPs, who are often caged to punish them for their political stance. Israel has on average issued over 2,000 detention orders every year between 2007 and 2011. Today there are around 750 administrative detainees, including young children. Former hunger striker Kader and Adnan was caged in total for over 6 years under 10 administrative detention orders without charge or trial. It was by going on hunger strike for 56 days, approaching death, that Israel eventually released him. Palestinian journalist Nidal Akka, who was imprisoned without charge or trial for 18 months in Israel's G4S secured Ketziot prison, wrote during his hunger strike, "From inside my dark, dreary, small cell that is very similar to a grave, where my bed touches the walls from both sides, I stress that this narrow cell will not narrow my will. My will is spacious and my spirits are high, drawn from the support of my family and our people, as well as the justice of our cause." And similarly today, there are Palestinian administrative detainees on hunger strike, like Adib Mafaja and Fuad Assi, protesting administrative detention, fighting for their lives. Most administrative detainees like Nidal Abu Akka have been transferred from the West Bank into prisons in Israel. This is in contravention of Article 76 of the 4th Geneva Convention and prevents their families from visiting them. Shame on you, G4S!
Shame on you, G4S!
Shame on you, Ashley Almanza!
Shame on you, Ashley Almanza!
Shame on you, John Connolly!
Shame on you, John Connolly!
Free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
Thousands in our millions.
We're all Palestinians.
In our thousands, in our millions.
We're all Palestinians.
In our thousands, in our millions, we are all Palestinians. Yeah, we're all Palestinians. Palestinians now. For a travesty for one is a travesty for all. Yeah, we're all Palestinians now. From the Balfour Declaration to Israeli occupation, yeah, we're all Palestinians now. Enforced colonisation, the ethnic cleansing of a nation, yeah, we're all Palestinians now. In our thousands, in our millions, we are all Palestinians. Come police, we are all Palestinians now. You learnt it, you know the lyrics. For a travesty for one is a travesty for all. Yeah, we're all Palestinians now. The sea, Palestinians must be free. Yeah, we're all Palestinian now. And so each and every day we must all stand up and say we are all Palestinians now. Everybody, in our thousands.